the Roman army. The Roman Empire around the Mediterranean Sea around 2000 years ago, they could raise an army of 800,000 people. And from 100 before Christ onwards, these were professionals who did it for a living, and when they were paid, they got 1/3 then in food. Now, when they were fighting, they would sometimes use the formation called the testudo. They had their shields, the scutari, in front of them, and so the people in the front row having them in front of them, the people at the side of that block having them at the side, and the other people also, and the people in the middle holding it up. So it's a big, almost like a military, an armored vehicle, that whole thing, all standing very tight together. And when they were fighting, now we had the long spears also. And in the Roman soldier, they had 2 spears to throw, and also a short sword, the gladius, 60 centimeters now. And they were also carrying a lot of other things. So first of all, they had to be very fit. 3 times a month, they were going on to walks, 4-hour walks, in which they were walking for 8 kilometers, so pretty fast, bearing weight. And so they made them 30 kilometers in that time with that backpack. Now, and also, when they were besieging another town, they had built sieging vehicles, catapults and other things. And they didn't only had to carry all these other things, they also were carrying shovels and pickaxes and food, clothing and other things, because they had to live, and they were building forts, and they had to have more things. Now, and there were legions. So these 800,000 people, they were split up into legions. One legion with 5,000 soldiers now. 800,000 were possible in a serious condition. So 5,000 people were fighting in a legion. Then a cohort had 500 people, and Centuri had 100 people. Centuri was led by a centurion, a cohort by a tribunus militium, and a legion by a legatus. That is according to Miles Kelly's World History book on the page 172 and 173. If you click this video away, then please tell me what the reason was so that I can improve. Otherwise, hi and welcome. I'm trying to learn Roman Empire studies, today the Roman army, and after we've done that, we're gonna do arm strength training. And if you participate in the arm strength training, then it's really your own risk. And the Roman Empire lasted over centuries, so that text is a little bit oversimplified. I haven't read it, I saw a little bit, but we're gonna take it, it's nevertheless a good introduction. So the Roman army, talking a bit about war. The Roman army, Rome owed its power to its highly efficient army. So the Roman Empire was expanded through military force. So that Rome had so much power was because they had a lethal army, a strong, lethal, efficient army. In a crisis, Rome could raise an army of 800,000 men. So they were able to recruit 800,000 people. Through what conditions now we were recruited, this is a bit oversimplified, but we were able to get 800,000 people. And I think we're talking, I said we wanted to take it as it is, a little introduction, oversimplified a little bit. They could bring up an army of 800,000 people. I think that are even just the regular troops. So 800,000 people could be raised. The Roman army fought mainly on foot, advancing in tight squares, bristling with spears and protected by large shields called scutari. They often put shields over their heads to protect them from arrows. This formation was called a testudo, or tortoise. I don't know how it's pronounced. Okay, the picture here illustrates the idea of it. So the people basically were all standing tightly together, and the front people were projecting to the front with their shield, and the side people to the side, and everyone in the middle was holding it up basically, and that they were basically like a tank or an armored vehicle to all sides, more or less protected against arrows and spears also. Was there once an attempt undertaken to leave some spaces in this formation free to appear like a larger army? So that someone was holding 2 shields or 2 scutaris. Okay, the shields were called scutari, and that famous formation testudo or tortoise. Under the Republic, the army was divided into legions of 5,000 soldiers. Legions were made up of 10 cohorts. Cohorts in turn consisted of centuries, containing 100 soldiers. So one legion of 5,000, and there are 10 cohorts in. And these cohorts, so 500 cohorts, a cohort is 500 soldiers. And a cohort consists out of centurions that are 100 soldiers. So 100 soldiers are a cohort. No, 100 soldiers are a centurion. And 500 soldiers or 5 cohorts, or 5 centurions are one cohort. And 5,000 soldiers or 500 or 10 cohorts are a legion. We're going to calculate it a little better. As a centurion, 100, a cohort. We're lacking with one number, so every time I have to remember and calculate. It's a little complicated. Centurion is 100. And 500 are cohorts. It's not so easy. Legions 5,000, centurions, cohorts 500, and then centurions 100. Legions 5,000, cohorts 500, centurions 100. During the Republic, divided into these legions, was it done so that not one commander of a legion had too much power and too much soldiers? Each legion was led by a legatus. That's the legatus. A cohort was led by a tribunus militum. A centurion was led by a centurion. Okay, such big legion with 5,000 people was led by a legatus. A cohort with 500 soldiers was led by a tribunus militum. And a centurion with 100 people, and were sent in the name centurion, was led by a centurion. All Roman soldiers had a short sword, 60 centimeters long, and carried 2 throwing spears. They also wore armor. First vests of chainmail and leather helmet, later metal strips on a leather tunic and a metal helmet. So they had a little short sword, the gladius, 60 centimeters long, and they had 2 spears to throw. At the earlier times of the Roman Empire, they had vests with chainmail, so little chain parts made together. Here's an illustration. And then later on, and also a leather helmet, so a helmet out of leather. And then later, metal strips, they are seen in the illustration. And a leather tunica underneath it. And also a helmet, a metal helmet out of metal. Roman armies built huge siege engines and catapults when they had to capture a town. So when they were besieging a town, they were building large machines like catapults and throwing stones. After 100 before Christ, most Roman soldiers were professionals who joined the army for life. Food accounted for about a third of their wages. So they were not joining randomly when just a war was happening, but basically there was always the idea of having always a steady army of people who were doing it as their means of occupying their lives. What is it called? The means of occupying their life provision, whatever. Whatever. What we need to live for. And they were paid not just in money, but also 1/3 of what they earned was directly done in food. In training, soldiers went on forced 30-kilometer marches 3 times a month. They moved at 8 kilometers per hour, carrying very heavy packs. So as part of their training, they were doing 3 times a month a 30-kilometer march, which is quite a distance. And they were moving 8 kilometers an hour, which is a very fast step. It's still possible to walk, but it's a pretty fast step, and especially if you think of the heavy armor and the heavy packs. So at that speed, they would need it around 3.5 hours. Soldiers were, I don't know if I want to read it. There were also physical punishments happening. The testudo formation proved highly efficient for Roman foot soldiers. So with this tortoise formation, they were good as foot soldiers because we had it in the previous part in biography about Alexander the Great with the phalanxes, that they were very good protected with these shields. And now this tortoise collection is, do they say here, and probably is it, a good formation for foot soldiers that they don't die in battle so fast. Roman soldiers had to be tough, while in the march they carried all the weapons and armor, plus a pack full of clothes, food and tools for digging and building. Okay, when we were marching, we had to carry the weapons, the 2 spears and the gladius sword. Oh, yes, at the left side actually. And also the armor, so the metal plates and the metal helmet, and then the leather underneath, the leather tunic, and a pack full of other clothes, or these clothes, and then also food and tools for digging and building. So also here, that's sort of here, that illustration. They have the pickaxe, maybe a shovel somewhere, and maybe even other things for building things. They built a lot of food, so they needed probably sauce and so on. I don't know if there's I never thought about it. Who was carrying all these things? If you build a catapult or something, who's making that? So they have to be special things, like also in the modern military, who work specially on these things, on the artillery and so on. Whatever. That was the Roman army part for now. We're going to come back in the next part, and then we're going to make a little overview of the Roman army. If you give a Roman Empire studies, you can go to the next part if you want. Then we're going to do this in an overview. If you stay here and participate in the Armstrength training, then it's here. If you would know what we're doing, we are warming a little up. And we're doing it, we're standing with the legs shoulder wide apart, and we're breathing in and reaching with the arms to the side as far as possible. Heading it down. Now reach our front as far as possible. High up, back, and down. And in front, up, back, and down. And now a flail exercise. Have long arms with strong the fist. And now move the arms up and around and circle the wrists with the fist. And backwards. If this or any other exercise causes pain, then don't do it. Up and back. And now, the first exercise, the star exercise with the fingertips pressing together. Now, if any exercise causes pain, then stop immediately. If there's pain at the elbows, little bend in the elbow. If there's pain at the elbows, at the wrists, at the fingers, the joints or something, then stop immediately and down resume. Little bend in the elbow, pressing. If there's pain or exhaustion, then also not. Please. And now the pro of a ship. So now with the fingertips just together. And again, little bend in the elbow. And if there's pain at the elbows, wrists, joints, fingers, somewhere, then stop immediately. And also don't go to exhaustion. Please. Next exercise. Now, one hand presses the fingertips into the finals of the other hand. If that causes damage through the nails at the hand, or the nails are getting damaged, then don't do it. So press on top and then lift slowly up, or give slowly in. On the other side, press into the finals, and the hand on top is stronger, and give slowly in. On the other side, press and give slowly in. And again, press, and it gives slowly in. Again, press, and it gives slowly in. And again, press. And one more round. Press. Again, if there's anywhere pain, stop immediately. And again. Now, the other layers round. I think so not with the hand from bed. Press. Give slowly. And on the other side. Press. Slowly. Again, press. And again. One last round. Press. And on the other side. And now the hand out. Press again. Good. Or give it in. Other hand. Press. Good. And again. And again. And on the other side. Last one. Now, press with your hands together and move over to one side as far as possible. All painless, of course. Burn up. Over. Not completely straight the others. Keep a little bendy. Over. Down. Middle. And now back. You don't have to press with full force. All controlled. Down. Over. And the last exercise. Press together and move up, middle, up, middle, to the side, middle, and in the other direction. And now the Miesenmast, arms to the side, circle down in the front, and backwards, and also big shoulder circuit. Second one also, and backwards, forward. Take one out front, shoulder back and down. Pull the arm in, have flat fingers. Try to relax the arm and point and turn the arm a bit in front. Go a bit back with the arm. Turn the palm a bit up to the sky. Relax the arm. Other arm. Shoulder back and down. Pull the arm and have flat fingers. Try to relax the arm. Go a bit back with the shoulder and turn the palm up to the sky. And ending with a plow. Go with moderate pressure over the middle part of the lower arm. And on the other side. That was my arm strength training. I thank you very much and until next time.